My name is Caroline Dion. I'm the mother of a 9-year-old girl. Her name is Kaya. I live in Montreal, Canada. And I also founded the Canadian Association for Alternating Hemiplegia. So I guess I am the president and the co-founder of the association. My daughter was diagnosed at 6 years old, so I'll go back to the beginning. She was born with normal health. She didn't have any seizures when she was born or any typical signs at the beginning. We did have our daughter brought to the hospital a bit after she was 12 months old for a severe pneumonia with pleural infusion. She was operated for that, and a day after her operation, she started to be extremely stiff. For 2 days, whole body became she had dystonia all over her body, her mouth, her head, and one of her pupil became extremely big, and the doctors thought she had a brain tumor or brain damage. So she underwent a lot of tests, and 2 days after the stiffness episode, she became completely limp. So she lost all her everything she had acquired. She lost as far as transitions, being able to sit in a proper and hold her head and move her arms to transit to a crawling position. So all that was lost, and she was like a doll. So they started a battery of tests, genetic tests. Everything came out negative. A few months down the road, she had a 10-day paralysis, a full body paralysis with cognitive cognitive impairment. She was like in a semi-comatose or comatose state, which was very scary. So she was admitted to the hospital for a 7-day EEG with videotape, which came out negative, even though she had paralysis and dystonic spells. So I started thoroughly researching on the internet with the symptoms that I was observing as a parent, and while being followed by the medical staff, and finally stumbled one night at 1:30 in the morning in April 2011 when Kaya was 6. Five and a half anyway, and started looking at familial hemiplegic migraine, and then stumbled through dissipates with sleep and another disorder that was similar, and I ended up looking at alternating hemiplegia of childhood, and the symptoms were just they were exactly what Kaya was living on a daily basis. It was the first time in a thorough 3.5 years of research that I was able to say everything fits like a puzzle. So I emailed my neurologist and with the Wikipedia definition, and kind of said in a nice way, I dare you to tell me otherwise, but I think I found Kaya's diagnosis. And so a week later, we had a clinical confirmation with symptoms that's what Kaya had. So ever since the first spells she had as an early toddler in the hospital, things have started to progress. She didn't have any eye problems at the beginning, and then she started to have a bit of nystagmus and then strabismus. So her eye, one eye goes straight, the other one kind of disappears. That was maybe 10 times a day at the beginning when she was maybe 2 or 3, but now that she's almost 9, she almost has more of those spells than her eyes are straight. So she has a pattern, a baseline of episodes where she's affected on a daily basis with paralysis, and the frequency and the intensity is never exactly the same, although in the morning, about a half hour to 45 minutes after she gets up, it is expected of her to have a somewhat of a full body episode with the cognitive impairment, a bit like she was drunk. So that's that. And she also has experienced a lot of dystonic spells with and has become a lot more stiff. But she's a happy camper, and that's that.